Alrighty, let's get started. This is going to be the first build at the new house. The shark has been unpacked. I am ready to go. We are going to be building, well, let's explain. We are actually going to be kind of using both of these kits. We're going to be doing a project called the El Chromino inspired El Camino. Because, I mean, we can't really call it El Chromino, and I'll tell you why right here. It's because this is the inspiration for the project. This is El Chromino, that's why I can't name it El Chromino. This is from a channel called Off the Ranch, which is Demolition Ranch's second channel. And he made this car. It is a burnout car. And kind of looking at the box art, watching it doing that, kind of got the idea that it should be a burnout car. And then shortly after, started watching these videos, and there's an El Camino doing the burnout thing. So that. Anyway, he painted it with spray cans, chrome spray cans. It is not in great shape. Now I can't do exactly that car because that is a 76 or a 77, and I don't think they make that kit. So we're going with this 78, and go from there. So what it is, this is his old car, and he resurrected it, and he put, there is a big, he did the classic LS swap. So there's a big Corvette engine in there. Not necessarily. Now, LS doesn't necessarily mean Corvette engine, but it usually does. And so he has got, from Texas Speed Shop, something or other. He explains in his video he got a engine donated because he needed more power. And then to add to that, he put these are Steely rims with BF Goodrich All-Terrains, just so he'd have more meat for the burnout, you know. Don't go bald so fast. That's the way it started there. And then he did that. Now I don't think, I'm not sure, I might, but I don't think I'm going to put a truck tire on the back. And I'll show you the options that I have, but I just wanted to explain the origin of the project, and I'll get back to that picture right there. So anyway, this is what we've got. They are both 1/24th scale, so everything matches according to scale, but we've got a huge mismatch on the chassis, so it can't be that easy. You can't just put the El Camino, look here, can't just put the El Camino body on the Corvette frame. But what you can do is swap the engines, and you want to, because the El Camino comes with a 6-cylinder. You have an option for a turbo, but still, even at that, for a burnout car, you want it to be a V8. And so we went with that one, since it's going to be the classic, what everybody thinks is an LS swap Corvette engine. Let's go with ZR1 engine. And so we're stealing the engine out of that. And I feel bad about it. I used to have 2 of these, but I will certainly hunt another one down and build it correctly. But for now, we're stealing parts out of it. And so there's a look at that engine from the ZR1 in the frame for the El Camino. And as you can see, the drivetrain stops way short of where the axle is going to be. So I believe we're going to be using the whole drive shaft and rear axle from the El Camino, and just the transmission and engine from the ZR1, just to give it that extra power. And then we'll decide what we do on the rear end. Speaking of which, here are some of the options. These are the tires. There's 3 different tires and wheels that you get with the El Camino kit, but these are the thickest ones. But even at that, Still not as thick as the Corvette tires there. That's the rear tire on the Corvette. It's the rear tire on the El Camino, and one's in front of the other, so it's making, put them right next to each other. There we go. See, so if you, you know, I want the thicker one. If I don't end up actually putting a truck tire on there. Then at this point, you have an option on wheels. I haven't completely decided. I love Kragers. Kragers come with the El Camino. It's one of the options. But then you've got those Corvette wheels. And normally you'd be saying it's too much chrome, but this is going to be literally a chrome painted car. So that's what he kept on doing. This is Matt. He everything, even underneath, everywhere there was a option to spray something with the chrome paint, he went for it and did it. So there's chrome all over the place. There's also rust all over the place on that one. But and that is the basic starting rundown. The good thing is the ZR1 comes with a lot of chrome parts. This isn't even the only tree with chrome. So I can really leave the engine all chromed out. I just wanted to mention, oh, and I didn't pull those parts out. So let's get down to the exhaust. Right here is a good picture of the way, of the way he ran his exhaust. As you can see, it's coming straight up out of the engine. What he did is he put his headers on backwards and upside down, so that, you know, the collector isn't down there. It's actually in the front of the engine bay. And then he attached some more pipes and angled them out kind of like bull horns. And he cut holes in the, there we go, cut holes in the hood as well to accommodate that. You can see them up in that picture too. And we are totally going to do that also. I tested that out a little bit, mounting the headers on upside down, and it looks pretty cool. So you can see you can't really use the, if you use the Corvette exhaust, it's going to come out right in front of the tires, blasting straight onto the tires. But that's not, that wouldn't be right anyway, so it's coming straight up through the hood. Anyway, so that's the rundown. I'll get some things together and we'll see what we can get mocked up before the end of this video. But there we go. El Chromino based El Camino. Okay, so this is what I've decided on. We're going to go with the Kragers. That is the Krager from the El Camino kit in the tire from the ZR1. And if you're curious, that is what the ZR1 wheel looks like in its own tire. And it's just not a deep dish, is it? So we've got the deep dish there. Definitely going to go with that. And we will use the Krager and the tire that came with the El Camino. So it will have its original front wheels and tires, but we're going to use the ZR1 tires on the back for obvious reasons. I mean, look at that. Anyway, on the engine, I've been kind of sizing up the whole idea of mounting these headers on upside down and backwards. So that makes them go on pretty much like this. And I'm sorry, I don't have that completely mocked up yet. But gonna have to get in some creative sanding so that we can get these tilted up just a little bit more. And so they will stick forward, and then we will add something to the end here to bend them up and through the hood. But as you can see here, if you're looking at that gaping hole there, of course headers are meant to be looked at from this angle, so they don't bother filling it in underneath where you wouldn't be looking. So we're gonna have to strip these and fill them up with putty and make them look better for, because I mean you're going to be able to see that from the top if you're looking down. See that? Anyway, the overall length of the engine is about, where are we? Is about the length of the other one, engine and transmission. So, well, no, it's not. Well, I'm going to have to cut it off right at the base of the transmission there, even though it definitely has a yoke sticking out. I'm going to have to cut that off because there's going to be any hope of getting this to line up with the drivetrain from the El Camino. I'm going to have to do that. So that's the next thing we'll be doing, is cutting the shaft off of this engine and seeing what we can mock up. Of course, we're going to have to cut out the whole exhaust system on the El Camino. Everybody does that anyway, but we're going to have to do that for sure. Okay, moving on. Okay, so you can see I've got the headers stripped. And I know they're not really headers, I mean exhaust manifolds. But look at the, wow, look at the big hole that's going to be showing because they're going to be upside down. So at this point I'm going to start filling that with resin, or filler. Putty is the name of it. And I have just put this cam cover on to see how much it's going to be sticking out there on the head, to see how far I can tilt it up. But I'm starting to get a look at these other parts. And as much as this is going to be all chrome, it's really going to be all fake chrome. And these parts are aluminum or aluminum alloy, and certainly not shiny chrome. They could be polished to look like this. I saw one engine where they had done that, but not feeling it. Not feeling this shiny of chrome. So we're going to strip these as well. And the good news is I'm looking online at the ZR1 LT5 engines, and look at that. Pretty much all the same color. So all the intakes and exhaust and covers and block, and you're going to be able to assemble the whole thing and just spray it all at once, which is great. So because I've got to, with the modification like this, it'd be nice to just have those things on and have this engine done and spray it all at the same time before trying to put it in. Otherwise, I have started cutting out the exhaust. Boy, look at this cross member. So that little hole there is for the transmission mount. But what a crazy cross member there. And I've cut the pipes off, and I'm about to cut that catalytic converter off with the Dremel. And then we'll be doing some pretty blunt cutting back here. And in the case of this one right here, it's hollowed out. So once you cut that off, I'm going to have to fill that in with putty as well. So, onward. Okay, so let's take a look at where we're at now. I have mocked it up a bit. Some of this is glued together solid, some of it is like the exhaust manifolds are just barely tacked on there, so that I can break them back off again and work on them. But I needed to see the scenario. As you can see, they really stick out. So I had to cut a lot out of those fender wells. And also the transmission is higher on this one, so I had to cut out of the firewall to get this thing in there at all. Now, on the real El Chromino, the exhaust didn't come straight forward. They hooked right away, and I can see why, because of course the battery's right there, and pretty much right there he curved them and up and out to the side and through the hood, which is something else I got to do. I've got to cut those slots in the hood to allow the pipes to come through. They'll be right about there. About there and there. so that that can be done. And of course the gray part there is the filler. It's going to take 2 coats because it's deep. It was full, and when it dried it kind of sunk in there. So a second coat will be on, and then I got to work on them, which is another reason why I got to be able to take them off. So they're just barely tacked on there. But it is a wild looking thing, isn't it? Now, I just wanted to mention on the firewall back there, you notice those cut marks. This is a new thing that I was trying there. That and cutting through here and so on. I was not using a Dremel. I used a new method. It's working out pretty good. I used, where is it? That thing. That is basically, in essence, it's an X-Acto knife on a soldering iron. But that's a wood burning kit. And so it had the chuck that would hold the blade, so I put it in there. And what do you know, you heat it up, and you can make these nice controlled cuts with no dust flying around, no big wads of melted plastic spinning around and getting all spun around and wadded up. It's nice and controlled. And gosh, I think I'm going to cut that way. Of course, you still have to finish up a little bit, just a little bit with a file or some sandpaper, but you are able to, it's not as messy. Now, as you can see here, down here I did start with a Dremel. That's where all this powder's from. And I said, forget this, and I started using the knife from this part over. Hot knife. And it actually works, and works well. Anyway, let me pull this thing out, because I wanted to show... let's see if I can get it. It's not gonna cooperate. Yes, it is. So what I'm gonna have to do here, as you can see, they're sticking, when they're mounted flush, they are sticking out really too far. So as I was mentioning in the beginning there, I'm going to have to do some creative sanding on the point, on the surface where they attach to the head there. Anyway, what I was basically saying is that they need to be sanded at an angle so they can mount flush and tilt upwards more. I need those manifolds to tilt up so that they can get up and out of the hood better. And the next thing I'm going to be doing here is cutting off these pipes, because I need to get an angle, a sharp angle, fast angle out of the hood. And when I'm going to cut that off flush and drill a hole in there exactly the diameter of this solder. Look at this. I think it's about the right width. Even if it's a little wider, that would look even more awesome. But yeah, so I'll be able to bend this to any angle that I need and get it up and out of the hood and angled to the sides and looking pretty darn good. So that's the next trick. And we'll see if that works. Okay, and so here is a rough idea of what I've been talking about, in case you haven't been able to picture it. Realize this is very rough. This is a rough mock-up. So I've cut those pipes off, and I've drilled out the ends of those, gosh, what are they? I don't think they're mufflers or baffles. I wonder what those are, so I'm going to have to investigate. But I've drilled the big holes in there, and I've stuck the solder in there, and I've bent them around to how it's going to be. But I probably won't even use those pieces of solder. That was just a test, and I'll cut new pieces at correct lengths and shine them up nice and drill out the ends. And but that is basically how it will be. There'll be slits cut in the hood to let them stick out like that, and it'll look kind of like bull horns, which is the impression I always got when I was watching El Chromino. And I'm happy with it so far. That is what I'm looking for. So, oh yeah, and I did tuck the I sanded the connection point with the heads there so that I could tuck them in closer. As you can see, they're a little bit closer to the heads there, and that's about right. That's another test. They're just dabbed on there with a spot of glue again. At this point, I'll start to I'll apply more putty, and then we're gonna have to really do some sculpting there because the bottoms of those didn't exist, and I'm gonna have to sculpt, make that look correct. So there's a lot of work to do. I'll just do all that off camera, and that's actually going to wrap it up for this episode, because you know I can't put too much in one episode, and I have given up on the idea of trying to get entire builds in one episode. So this is just part one of, oh, who knows how long it's going to take, but hopefully not too long. You know, the rest of the build, the rest of the body is going to be, you know, the whole thing is going to be painted chrome. We're going to do that. And the engine is just going to be aluminum silver. And it's going to be, you know, those rear tires. I'm really pretty excited about this. And if you're wondering, am I feeling bad about stealing parts from that awesome ZR1 kit? Yes, I'm really starting to feel it. There's the poor thing right there. Just taking the engine, that's all. But anyway, I do promise to find another one of these, or if somebody wants to send me the engine, I don't know. I promise to build this one correctly, because this is a good one to be taking the engine from. Probably should be building that rather than doing what I'm doing. But I saw this idea and I had to do it. So I'm doing it. Anyway, stay tuned for the next episode. I'm kind of in and out here at the house. Probably won't be for another week or so on the next update. But I'm excited about it now, so I'm into it. So it should move along pretty quickly. Then I can get it uploaded onto the Strictly Box Stock Facebook group for James Tester. No, wait a minute. Wait. It's not going to be box stock. I won't do it, James. I promise. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you on the next episode. So that, let's see if I can get the pointer. Okay. Okay. So right there. Oh, forget it.